I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
If you want to build a massive chest, you have to stop bench pressing right now.
Welcome to Heinz Seniors Coaching Up. Get access to the P3AK High Intensity Training ebook and its exclusive video tutorials. Commit with Heinz's coaching right now and be provided with a year of meal plans, training programs, and more. www.p3akday.com. There is no room for the littles.
Welcome back to RXMuscle Spotlight. Today's interview is going to feature our 2021 NPC Nationals Men's Physique overall champion, Tom Cox. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having me. I've been a big fan of yours for years, and it's just great to finally be on this show.
Yeah, it's great when you win the overall at the Nationals. Not many people can do that, and it's the best amateur show in the world. You're the overall champ, and you're a new IFBB pro. I forgot to mention that as well, of course, and that's probably the most important aspect of the whole thing. But you have a great story because, I love people who have overcome obstacles to get where they've gotten. You started relatively late in the game, with bodybuilding. Why did you wait till 24? How did you get introduced to the whole sport?
Well, during that time, I was very big on wanting to finish college, and I was going for my exercise science degree. And I knew it was important to really look the part. So I was already in the gym, but not really having a steadfast goal in mind to really aim for. So at that time, that's when the men's physique division was getting more popular. It just come out. And I think I kind of set my eyes on that. I was like, that's a standard I want to really try to emulate and work towards and try to create a physique that's up to par with that.
And you did. We'll put those pictures up on the screen so people can see what we're talking about. But so when you went in high school to college, were you an athlete, or did you just recreationally work out?
I was an athlete. Yeah, I played Division I soccer, and
wow, cool.
Into my freshman year, injured myself, tore my ACL. Oof. And never got my touch back with soccer, but got in the weight room. And I come from a big football school, so we had great coaches and great strength and conditioning equipment. And right. I had guidance at a young age, so that's really where I excelled in the weight room more so than on the pitch after a certain point. So that's where I kind of redirected my goals.
Now, when you play a team sport like soccer, and I played soccer, for many, many years at the high school, up to the high school level, and when you go to an individual sport where now you don't have to go to practice with the team, you can kind of work out when you want. You might have a training partner. It's a different mindset. And I loved soccer, and I ran track and cross country too. But there was something about being able to do things on my own kind of schedule, so to speak, that I found. I don't know. It was like engaging to me. It was like something that like just pulled me in that direction. Did you feel the same thing when you started weight training after that injury?
Exactly. It just felt liberating to not have to rely on your team or you letting your team down. It was just all on you, and it was a goal that you can just see yourself and improve on daily and have more control of it, I felt.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was so much that I was just like that I didn't like soccer. It was just that like I was so like engrossed in the idea of weight training that it was just like you found your passion, so to speak, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, was it hard for you not to want to get on a stage, while you're training and you're going to college and stuff like that? Because, a lot of guys do compete when they're in college at a younger level. Did you have a certain desired physique goal, or was it just that, you said to yourself, if I compete, I'm not going to be able to focus on studying enough?
Well, I knew I had a long way to go. When I first started college, men's physique wasn't even around.
Right.
And looking at the open bodybuilders, it just didn't even seem like it was feasible at that time where I was. And I wanted to experience college too. I joined a fraternity my freshman year.
That's what it was. Okay.
Probably not the best idea, but I great experience from that, leadership skills, guys and friends that I'm still with today. So I didn't really miss out on those days and, those years in college. And I have no regrets with that.
Right. So you finally get into competing in 2015. And what was your first experience like on stage? Was it like, were you like a prodigy from the beginning, or was it like, I got to take my licks now?
I got to taste the humble pie very early. I had no idea what I was getting into, the whole tanning process and skin prep, and being in a room with guys after getting tan just in itself was a little awkward for the first time. And I didn't even place in the top 5 at my regional show.
Was that discouraging and disheartening to you? I mean, did you want to quit after that, or did that make you come back and say, I want to be better?
I was proud with what I brought, and I noticed that everybody else that placed above me had guidance and direction. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of went in blind. I tested out the waters, but man, I was hooked. I was hooked from the first show. Gotcha.
So you get a coach, and what do you discover? What does your first coach tell you that you just were doing completely wrong?
Consistency with a meal plan, and having actual structure, and just knowing carbs and fats manipulation within a diet, and how really to get that extra level of lean and conditioning that you really are looking for.
So what were you doing prior to that? Just kind of eating whatever you wanted?
I was just eating how I felt and looked in the mirror, and on the bro diet, everything that I was. We had bodybuilding.com back in the day, and it was very training programs that were accessible for free. But no, I mean, there was no rhyme or reason to what I was doing. I'm clueless.
Yeah, cool. So you start competing. Once you get the coach, the first show you did with the coach, did your placings go up dramatically at that point?
Yeah, I'd actually gotten my qualification. I placed first in my class under him. But then shortly afterwards, he actually told me, is like, this division's very new. It's out of like my expertise. The posing's a lot different. Maybe you should go this direction with this coach who knows more about it. And that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. And then who'd you go to after that coach? Who was your next coach?
Michael Rattini, who's owner of Unchained Physiques. He's also my business partner with our team that coach.
Now, you started doing well, and obviously your physique started improving a lot. And then you hit a little bit of a roadblock. Explain what happened and when you first discovered that there was something wrong with you.
Well, once linking up with Mike, I mean, we went on a pretty good run for 3 years. Working with him, I landed 4 overall titles. We went to 4 national shows together. And my placings just kept improving. My physique kept improving. But come October of 2019, things kind of stalled, and things were a lot different. I noticed how my body was processing the foods. It was different. I looked inflamed and watery some days for no reason, really.
And nothing changed, right? You weren't doing anything different.
Okay. No, we went on a good run. Like that year, we won 3 overall titles back to back. Did Junior USA's, placed my top placing up in my career in that point, top 3 in 2019.
Did you notice that you had gotten sick right before this at all, or was it just out of the clear blue sky?
It was out of the blue.
Okay, like so what happens? You're inflamed. You don't feel right. What do you do?
Yeah, I was going to bed crying in pain some nights, because these pain, like it would really manifest itself in sores and boils on my skin.
Okay.
But that's something that was going on internally.
Right.
And that's when we even pushed through to compete in just national shows. And I got on medication that doctors said I'd be on for the rest of my life.
What was the diagnosis? Tell us.
Oh, yes. So I was diagnosed in October 2019 with HS. It's an autoinflammatory autoimmune condition.
That affects the skin?
Or it's more common than people think, but it's commonly misdiagnosed.
Gotcha. What is it commonly misdiagnosed as?
It could be Crohn's, because it start with something in the stomach, ulcerative colitis,
right.
And some of the same medications, like they put me on Humira, which is also used to treat those conditions as well.
Right. And did the Humira help at all?
It did. It helped things subside. I didn't have flare-ups as often. Excuse me. But once working, we brought on a specialist. My coach at the time, I mean, he knew. We had a conversation. It was like, it came to the point. It was like, I have to make a decision if I'm going to retire for my health, because this is just putting my body under such stress, and just focus on my coaching. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Or we can push forward and try something else with someone who has a clinical background like Dom Mestasio. And he was just the missing part of the puzzle that we needed. And within the first 4 to 6 months of working with him, the first 4 months, I mean, I pretty much repaired the linings in my stomach.
So Dom Mestasio is a good friend of mine. He sat down with you and said, hey, look, I think it could be diet related what's going on. So you guys started eliminating different foods, dairy, and I think you told me red meat, eggs. And when you eliminated those foods from your diet, all of a sudden you started feeling better. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now,
absolutely. It had me on a pretty thorough supplement protocol. I mean, we used even some of your supplements, Dave.
Right.
Your Fiberlize.
Right.
It was a staple in our calls.
Were you taking probiotics too?
Yes, digestive enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics, you name it. I mean, it was like reading. Tom said it best. It was like reading hieroglyphics. The first plan I got, and I had to set alarms throughout the day when to take what.
Right.
And just those first 4 months were so critical, and from there it made prep that much easier.
So now, do you think that you were allergic to the foods, or had was your immune system sensitive to the foods, or was your gut lining so broken down that these foods were getting into the bloodstream and then that was causing the autoimmune issue? That's what I wonder.
Yes. I do have a theory that after a show, and I know a lot of competitors are guilty for it, but I'm feast or famine. Like if I'm all in with my show, and then after a show, I would just completely become unhinged. Some shows I would jump up a lot of weight, add rebound.
Yeah.
But I think just that drastic change, and it was just may have caused these issues that I had, these underlying issues, to surface faster, just with the stress that we put in our bodies through a typical prep. And I competed in multiple shows over the past 5 years, really, with just kind of have that same cycle. And now having someone like Dom on board who was able to help me identify that this condition has become a blessing, because it makes me adhere to a plan even following a show, to where I just don't come unhinged anymore.
Here's my question though. Have you ever tried to eat any of the foods that you've eliminated to see if you can handle them?
Yes, we have, and we found out that my body is much more resilient, but if on eating those foods regularly, it would build.
Okay, so definitely the foods definitely are causing an issue. So you rebuilt up the gut lining essentially with good bacteria, feeding it with fiber, obviously, which is going to feed these bacteria, and that's protecting you. But at the same time, you don't want to put these foods in, because those are the foods that seem to break down the lining of your gut as well. Now, when you were diagnosed with this, did they do like a blood test? Did you test positive for certain autoantibodies? Is that how they diagnosed it?
To be honest with you, Dave, I kind of just accepted whatever fate I was going through at the time there. So whatever the doctors were telling me, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Did they show you blood work though and say, hey, look, you tested positive here, or did they just diagnose you by symptoms?
They diagnosed me by symptoms.
Gotcha. Okay.
For the most part, there was blood work that was taken, but I was out of the know with what was going on.
Right. Yeah, I would be interested to see what that is. All right. So you figure out, look, here I got to eat these foods. Now all of a sudden my body's responding. I'm not getting these breakouts. I'm not inflamed. I feel good. You and Dom sit down and say, what? We're going to do nationals, right?
Yeah, and that wasn't even in the cards. That wasn't at the table when we started.
And the year before that, you hadn't even placed at the national shows, because you had a terrible year that year, right?
Yeah.
So what made you pick nationals over, say, North American or any of the other shows?
That's honestly just where the schedule landed, and I was hesitant. I'm not going to lie. My even though I had successes in the NPC and won quite a few overalls, like my my ego took a big hit last year.
Right. Of course.
It was Dom's like just instilled confidence in me. Is like, hey, you're firing on all cylinders right now. You have the size. We can definitely hit nationals and make an impact.
Okay. So there was no real expectations because you hadn't really been second place where you're the next guy. You kind of was the guy out of nowhere. You were the dark horse that no one expected, so to speak.
Yeah.
And not only do you win your height class, but you win the overall. So did you expect that? Was that a shocker to you?
That didn't even cross my mind going in. I was pretty confident that top 2 in a class, pro card could happen. Pro card, it's kind of been watered down over the years, but just going in there and knocking it out of the park, that just felt awesome.
Yeah, and I can imagine. It's great. First of all, it's great to overcome some kind of terrible adversity where you think you might be. Look, you got the ACL injury. That kind of knocked you out of your soccer career. And this pops up. Now you're thinking, holy mackerel, I find something else that I'm really good at. And now what's happening to me with this? Now I can't even do this. I mean, it had to be a tremendous letdown for you initially, right?
Yeah, I was just like, what is God trying to teach me a lesson here? What did I do?
But obviously the lesson was that don't give up because, it's the people who quit that never achieve anything great, right?
That's right. The tenacity and perseverance to finish, see it through. It's definitely worth it.
So you hear your name called out, overall champ, and what's going through your head at that point?
Man, I just all the emotion hit me at once. Everybody says it. When I was on stage, I just had this stone cold look.
Were you trying to hold back the tears?
Well, it was just I was so stoic up to that point. Nothing else. I know men's physique is more, it's a fitness model. You got to smile and you got to look pretty, but it was hard for me to have a genuine smile all through that process. And then after everything kind of hit me and I held up my hands in victory, that's when I really smiled. Leading up to that point, I was zoned, locked in.
Well, I see you kneeling on the floor. Hey, you have this picture. I mean, I have to imagine there were tears in your eyes that you were trying to cover up. I mean, I would be doing the same thing. The emotions have got to overcome you at that point, right?
Yeah, everything. Just the weight was lifted off my chest, and my family and I have been through a lot this year. And just I knew my mom was watching from home, and a lot to me. She doesn't have the mobility and health to be able to get around, to be seeing it in person. Right. So that was really important to me. So all of those thoughts and emotions, and my team was there, my coaches, my training partner, everyone really came out to support me. And man, it was just tears of joy.
That's
it really
awesome.
was.
Well, you're only 30 years old. You got your whole career ahead of you, and great story of victory here. And it's nice to end the year on a happy note. We have so much tragedy here in 2021 that I like to hear these great success stories. Congratulations to you and Dom, who's a good friend of mine. And what's on the schedule for 2022? Anything yet?
Oh, yes, sir. We plan to hit a show later in the year.
Okay.
And make a run towards the Olympia. I think we're, a small off season away to be a contender at the top pro level. So,
gotcha. What were you thinking? You have an idea of a show? Is it Tampa or something like that?
Potentially. Yeah. We still got to look over the schedule together and make the best.
It's a long year because the Olympia is not till December, so there's a lot more qualifiers this year than there were the year before. So I'm sure you have plenty of time to pick something out.
Exactly. That's what we plan on.
Tom, thanks for joining us and telling us your story and sharing with us. And congratulations on the overall victory in the pro card. And looking forward to seeing you on stage in 2022.
Appreciate you for having me, Dave.
All right, guys. And that's going to take us to the end of another episode of RX Muscle Top Profile. We'll see you next time.